Okay, so while I'm here watching Fox News, and by the way, anybody who has followed my channel knows that I typically watch Fox News, and the reason for that is because I have Verizon Fios, and I don't think I have the package for MSNBC or CNN, so I'm really not interested in spending any more money to have access to their service. So basically, what I want to talk about is if you've been following my channel, you notice that I've been posting some expert level troll comments to all of these goddamn Trump sycophants and these people who think that I give a shit what they think about my political beliefs, which I obviously do not, which is why, as you probably have been following, I posted a poll where I don't even give you a choice to say that I actually care, because I don't. And that's the simple fact. I really don't. So the first thing I want to talk about is what are the draft requirements, or what are the draft expectations, just in case there is a draft? Because now the New York Times published an article where they were talking about, hey Marcus, how you doing? So the New York Times published an article where they were talking about the requirements for the draft. Now, first of all, let me just get started like this. First of all, the problem that I see, obviously, I talk about this all the time with the freaking media. First of all, Fox News is full of shit. No one is defending the assassination of this terrorist. What we are doing is we're bringing up the fact that, number one, it was completely unnecessary. Number two, you've created a martyr out of this person in a country where martyrdom is actually praised. So now there will be more people who want to be fucking martyrs. I thought we would have learned our lesson from the Iraq war, but I guess we didn't. That's number one. Number two, most Americans are smart enough not all around. Okay, so anyway, this is Colin Powell. Some of you Generation Z kids probably don't know who that is. That was Secretary of Defense Colin Powell. And when he was at the United Nations Security Council, he was holding up yellow cake, which is basically uranium that they're trying to refine. And he was claiming that Saddam Hussein was planning on making a nuclear bomb. First of all, technology to make a nuclear bomb is so sophisticated until Iraq absolutely did not have it. George Bush had Colin Powell sit there and lie to us and tell us that Saddam Hussein was making yellow cake uranium in order to make a bomb, which was absolutely not true. Later on, Colin Powell resigned before the end of Bush's presidency and before in 2008 when the economy collapsed on September 15th, 2008, when the Dow dropped 777 points. I have a very good memory for these things. So the bottom line is we've been lied to before. We've been lied to about the Spanish-American War. If you don't, most of y'all don't know shit about history because y'all smoke weed, and on top of that, y'all don't go to your class and you cut school and shit. But you should be, you should know and you should look up. There was a situation called Remember the Maine. The USS Maine was sunk, and that pulled us into getting into the Spanish-American War. That turned out to be a lie too. Then, to get us into Vietnam, you should know there was the Gulf of Tonkin, and the Gulf of Tonkin was another lie that was designed to pull us into, hey, listen, first of all, Pee-wee Chicken, if you're fucking bored, hang up your phone and get off my channel. I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm doing a history lesson here. If you don't like it, shut up and hey, you turn my fucking computer off and you get lost. No, you know what? You don't even have to delete them. Anybody who starts talking shit, who comes on my channel while I'm giving a history lesson, anybody, you can pack your shit and get the fuck out. I know how most of these public schools are now where you're not allowed to throw people out of a fucking room. Don't you goddamn dare come on my channel while I'm giving a history lesson and try to tell me some shit more. You pack your shit and get out. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Pack your shit and leave. I'm not playing no games. I'm not arguing with no goddamn Trump supporter. Anybody who don't like what I'm saying, I will gladly sit here and watch the numbers tick down to zero as you disappear. And I'll sit here and talk to my damn self. So don't even try that bullshit. So anyway, starting us into the war in Vietnam was what was called the Gulf of Tonkin. If you don't know about Remember the Maine and you don't know about the Gulf of Tonkin, you should know about those things. Now, I really don't have to tell you what pulled us into the war with Iraq in 2003. That was 9/11. 9-11, because 911 is actually how we call the cops. So that's the September 11th attacks is what caused America to claim that although we were attacked by Al Qaeda in Afghanistan, that for some reason Bush felt the need that he had to go invade Iraq, which had nothing to do with 9/11. That is a historical fact. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11 at all. They weren't even the same Muslim group. You got Sunni versus Shia. Saddam Hussein was a Sunni. If he had been anywhere near Osama bin Laden, he would have tried to kill him. But Bush snuck this shit through with these motherfuckers on Fox News, and these bastards don't ever challenge any of this shit, and they're the ones who are co-signing this bullshit. And there you go. Now you lose 3,000 people in 9/11, plus you lose over 5,000 soldiers. And even in the peacetime, you're still losing soldiers because we still got men over there in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I'm just doing a history lesson. If you don't like it, you can go sit on the toilet, go flush the toilet, listen to the water spin. I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want to do. But not very long ago, the news was trying to say that Iran was putting mines on a Japanese tanker. And that was the last thing that they tried to do to sucker us into fighting these people. And they claimed that Japan had a tanker and Iran was putting mines near this tanker. Now, because of the fact that our news is bullshit and they don't tell you the whole truth, what they didn't say was that the Iranians went to these Japanese ships and were helping to get the mines off them. Guess what? Iran is Japan's third largest trading partner. Why the fuck would you try to blow up an oil tanker that Japan is bringing you? Why would you do that shit? You know what that's like? That's like if you're illegally getting marijuana delivered to your house and you try to kill the guy who's bringing you the marijuana. What kind of stupid bullshit is that? It's Fox News lies. Lies, lies. Japan's oil tanker, Japan ships Iran oil. Iran needs oil because America has sanctions on just about every country with brown people in it. Cuba, Venezuela, Bolivia, we're trying to steal their lithium so we can make more Teslas. Iran would never have attacked Japan. That's stupid and it's a lie. But these motherfuckers right here won't tell you the truth. So anyway, back to business. Japan had an oil tanker. Iran was trying to remove the mines. They stopped talking about it. They started saying, "Oh yeah, well we got to go to war with Iran because they're blowing up Japanese oil tankers." That was bullshit. Nothing has happened since then, which should also tell you something. Iran would never go to war with Japan because they need them for energy. That's the stupidest shit ever. So you do the research yourself. Do the research yourself. But anyway, this was the last thing they tried. Now, this was as soon as June 19th. Now, you may remember during June 19th, I wasn't in the... Well, actually, I was in the country. I left right after that. But this happened right this summer past 2019. So they're trying to sucker us into a war with Iran. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. And right now, you have an assassination of Soleimani, who we are not currently at war with, but what we did was absolutely an act of war. Those people had no plans of doing anything. I don't think people understand how far away Iran is. Iran is pretty goddamn far away. Without an air force, without what's it called? Without an air force, without battleships and all that shit, Iran is so fucking far away that they have like no hope to do anything to us from where they are. Not anytime this century. You see this? You see this? Now, in my opinion, what we did was we went to war with Iraq, had nothing to do with Afghanistan, but we went to war with Iraq, so this way we can control the airspace on that side of Iran and on that side of Iran. So we took over Afghanistan, Iraq, and this way we've got them sandwiched right in the middle, and we've got troops and forces on both sides of them. This is kind of like playing Command and Conquer or playing chess. What you do is you surround the enemy and then you close in on them. You've got sanctions here and there. These people in no way were planning any attack on us. Now, they might have planned to attack Israel. I can't doubt that. But they had no plans of attack on us. That was an unconstitutional, unlicensed assassination. That's what it was. So now that I've laid the groundwork for my argument, now I want to talk about the draft. You see these fine youngin right here? You got like a bunch of white ones. You got this one black guy off to the side. You know he doesn't believe in this bullshit. That guy, I'm going to call him JJ. He doesn't believe in it. This guy right here looks like Captain America, kind of. And this guy right here, he kind of looks like, what does he look like? I don't know, but I'm going to call that guy Captain America. That guy right there is JJ. You know JJ is looking at this camera like, this is some bullshit. JJ is me thinking like, yo, this is some fucking bullshit. Meanwhile, Captain America, he's planning on signing up. He's like, he can't wait to get over there so he can get his legs blown off. So anyway, we're talking about the draft, and I'm just going to lay my groundwork really quickly because I've already read this stuff. But basically, the question is going to be, if we go to World War III right now, who's going to be drafted? A lot of people think, oh, it won't be me, but the simple fact is, if you're over age, like for instance, I'm damn near 40 years old, I can't be drafted. I've got flat feet, I'm fat, and I'm too old, and I have bad eyesight and all that shit. So let me tell you something. If you people don't hurry up, you're claiming bone spurs. That's a funny one. Well, Trump claimed bone spurs. He got deferred 5 times. None of his kids are going to serve anything. And he didn't serve anything. So it's amazing how you're ending up having to get drafted by somebody who's a draft dodger. So anyway, is there going to be a military draft? Well, if we had to fight Iran, and you're talking about they have 500,000 active troops, and we're sending 1,000 over there, oh, I'm pretty sure there would have to be a draft. In fact, you'd have no choice but to do a draft because there's just so many of those people. So what is the draft age? Well, all men from 18 to 25 are required to register with the Selective Service. Many young men check a box to register when getting a driver's license. I bet while you were registering for your driver's license, none of you paid attention to any of that fine print that talks about, signing up for Selective Service and, organ donation. So some of you are probably going to be hacked up, and they're going to take your kidneys and they're going to take your liver. Oh, no. Lunas, we're going to get to women because right now we're talking about men. One thing you need to understand about this country is not only has it been a racist country for a very long time, but it's also been sexist. So when you talk about paternity, right? Basically, they're only looking to take men. They're not looking to take women. In fact, with these new transsexuals that we've got to deal with, if you were born a man and transitioned to a woman, you can be drafted. But if you were born a woman and transitioned to a man, you can't be drafted because this thing is worded to go after men between 18 and 25. Okay, so I just want to lay this groundwork right there first. So, and I'm using this New York Times. That's my source. You can read it yourself. So this way nobody can say my information is bad because I'm getting the shit from fucking New York Times. I mean, where are you going to get it from? So anyway. But just because you have registered doesn't mean that you'll be drafted. Because here's the thing. There'd be a national outcry if they started drafting. Because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go after poor people. So they say, what are the consequences if you don't register? Well, if you don't register, New York Times is fake news. You're fake news. So anyway, if you do not register for Selective Service as a young man, you can be subject to a lifetime of penalties. Think about this. If you do not register, for example, men who did not register cannot receive financial aid. That means that unless you're spending your own money, there's no way that you can take out a government federal student loan. Now, I had government federal student loans back when I was in college, and I paid them all off. So considering I have no outstanding loan debt, I couldn't possibly be drafted under that, but many of you have outstanding student loans. You can be drafted. It says they cannot work for the federal government. So let's say you want to get a job or something in the FBI, they won't let you work unless you've been available for selective services. So selective service is their fancy term for how can we draft these motherfuckers and there's nothing they can do about it. Can women be drafted? No. Again, America is sexist. We do not treat men and women the same way, just like we've never treated blacks and whites the same way. Historically, only men have been eligible for the draft, but the question of whether to register women has gained traction in recent years. Basically, just like they put women to work instead of letting them stay home and be housewives and actually know how to cook and clean, instead of doing that, they've put them into careers, and now that women are in careers, the corporations get to make twice as much money because now you don't have a population sitting at home. So we've auctioned off the labor of women, and now what they want to do is they want to make these chicks draftable. So they, in arguing for equality, they want to make women draftable, just like men. So if you're under the age of 30, chances are you wouldn't be drafted unless we had a serious issue getting people. But I have so many fucking health problems at this point. There's no way I could be drafted. So let me warn you, especially you young white males who worship the military and you play Call of Duty every day. If there is a draft, you'll be going and I'll be sitting home watching you die on CNN. So if I were you, I would show up in November to vote Trump out of office before he tries to take us over to the war. Otherwise, it'll be you, your sister, and your cousins. And all of you are going to get sent right over there. And I'm going to be sitting here on my couch watching you dying on C-SPAN. Okay? So if I were you, I would do something about this. You better line up, better sign up to vote. So, in 2015, the Pentagon opened up all combat jobs to women, which, as you also know, the instances of sexual assault and rape in the Air Force have skyrocketed since this has happened. But actually, it has happened since before that. We've always had problems, even since when Clinton was in there. Okay, are there arguments for reinstatement of the draft? Well, guess what? If you're trying to start illegal wars with fucking countries the size of Iran and China and Russia and shit, well, then I guess you probably have to draft somebody. In the 1860s, mobs of mostly foreign-born white workers took to the streets in New York to protest conscription during the Civil War. They didn't want to be drafted then, and they certainly don't want to be drafted now. Everybody wants to stay home with their Apple products and playing video games and shit and running up student loans. But guess what? Now they've worked that shit in there where you can get drafted right now. I don't know what it means in a democracy when you let some people fight your wars and everyone is not responsible, she said. American citizens are not implicated in the consequences, bodily, human life, economically, of war, and they should be. So these people basically want to draft your ass. That's what it comes down to. So understand, 18 to 25, you are draftable. If you have student loans on your name because you took out federal direct student loans, you are draftable. If you were born a male and decided to change yourself to a female, you are draftable. That's what it is. So I've made my case as best as I could. I don't want to spend all day on this. Right now I'm up to 17 minutes, so I don't want to spend all day because I'm too busy watching these turkeys lying to everybody on Fox News. So I don't want to spend too much time on this. So anyway, so this guy Soleimani, first of all, you don't have to tell me how bad this guy was. He's no different than Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was a bad guy, and Saddam Hussein was America's best buddy. Right up until America cut a deal for more oil from Kuwait. And when we did that, Saddam Hussein decided to start a war with Kuwait, at which point he ended up in a war with America. But the difference between Saddam Hussein and this guy is that Saddam Hussein was imprisoned, brought to court, and after he had his trial where he was found guilty of genocide against the Kurds, he was executed. I'm not arguing for Soleimani's life. I'm arguing for his human rights. And if we are stupid enough to let a bunch of slack-jawed, Trump-supporting morons allow Trump to do whatever he wants and kill people and assassinate people with nothing but impunity, then what we're doing is we're setting up the next president, whoever comes after him, to be able to do the exact same shit. What we really need to do is we need to look at the War Powers Act. If Trump can warn Russia before warning the Congress that he's planning an attack like this, I consider that a serious constitutional crisis. But then again, Trump himself is a constitutional crisis. Trump himself is an indictment of America. And I know there's a lot of Trump supporters and you're getting pissed at me. I don't give a fuck. But I'm saying it just like it is. If you don't like it, that's just what it is. And as for all of you who don't support Trump and who don't support these illegal wars, what I suggest you do is stop arguing with these Trump supporters and you go out there and you try to register as many people as you can to come out in November to vote. Because at this point, when you're talking about trying to start illegal wars and put us in World War III and shit, at this point, I'm ready to take anybody over Trump. Now, to tell you the God's honest truth, I hate Bloomberg. I hate Sanders. I know both of them were spoilers for the election. What's her name? Harris dropped out. No, wait. Kamala Harris dropped out. Booker dropped out. At this point, I'll take Joe Biden in a hair. But the problem that I have is I don't know how war hawkish these goddamn Democrats are either. The Democrats and these Republicans should have proven to you by now that these people are both war hawks. They're both wings on the same bird. They both stand for the same shit. It's just a different wrapper. The Democrats use minority votes in order to get their elected offices. And the Republicans simply go after poor whites. And that's how they do it. So in my opinion, there's really no difference. The problem is Trump's behavior and his actions have been more reckless than anybody I've seen in that office. And I've lived through a bunch of presidents. I've been through Reagan. I've been through Clinton. I've been through Bush twice. I've been through Clinton twice. I've been through Obama twice. And now we got this asshole Trump, and this motherfucker's trying to start World War III. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like I really think we need change. We need regime change here. What we need to do is get that shit ready to vote, and in November, he needs to be voted the fuck out. And just keep in mind, he never won the popular vote. Hillary won by 3 million, and Trump only got in because we still have the Electoral College, which was basically put there to make sure the slave states would never be outnumbered. And the Electoral College votes is the only reason why he got in. Even Obama had an Electoral College victory, but he had a landslide against McCain. And then he also had another good win against Romney. But Trump never got the popular vote. This country is majority not pro-Trump. So all of you kids who are getting registered to vote, I recommend that in November you get yourselves ready to vote for whoever the Democrats put in. I don't give a fuck if the Democrats take a German Shepherd and run him as president. You better be ready to vote for that goddamn German Shepherd. Otherwise, they're going to ship your ass out, and I'm going to be home watching it on the news. And that's my history lesson for today. It was a very quick history lesson. You can go and research all the shit that I just brought up. In fact, I suggested some of you who didn't take geography, maybe what you should do is actually learn where these fucking countries are in relation to each other, because most of you don't know that shit because you don't pay attention and you smoke weed and stuff before you go to class. So if I were you, I would definitely learn about geography, and I think you probably should learn a little bit about the Middle East. You can watch Real Vision Finance because they usually have good videos about this. So basically, that's my history lesson. So now let's go back to some cars. So XTS, what is it called? The XT6V. Supposedly, Cadillac is bringing out what's called the XT6V. And I was looking on, what was it? I was looking on Car and Driver, and supposedly there's supposed to be an XT6V coming. Now, they have the CT6V, and that's really interesting. I may, if I get a chance, I may go to Cadillac. Because here's the thing. Rather than do one of those stupid bullshit reviews with the street drive, I'm going to go to the Cadillac test drive event that I do every year. And I'll make video on the track driving those cars. And this way I can like demonstrate the technology and everything. Because these cars are expensive. It's like $100,000. It's like you almost don't even want to drive that shit. Because it's very expensive. And then you don't really have the space to drive like you want to drive. So it's actually better to go to a track. But right now, everything is really boring. I went to Porsche yesterday to look at the Porsche Taycan, and I was going to drive the Porsche Taycan. In fact, the guy met me right on the lot, and I was going to drive it, and then I realized I couldn't fit in the fucking thing. These things start at $103,000, and they think they're going to take on Tesla, and these cars are smaller than a Panamera inside. These cars are like half the size of a Panamera inside. It's like, you're not taking on Tesla with that bullshit. You're not. There's no way you can take on Tesla. You can fit 7 people in a Model S. You can fit 7 people in a Model X. You can't take on Tesla. Tesla's going to eat your goddamn lunch. These things start at $103,000. And when I went there yesterday, they had a demo version that you could take a look at. And they wanted like $150,000 for that freaking thing. It's like that's crazy. But that's what they're asking. So, The Porsche Taycan is boring. The Cadillac CT6 Blackwing is kind of interesting, but the problem is it's $100,000, so it's kind of expensive for most people. I'm not paying $100,000 for any car. I'm just not doing it. Jeep Trackhawk, I wouldn't dare. It's a waste of money. And then when the depreciation hits in, you lose like $30,000. Like you take a $30,000 haircut. So there's that, and then on top of that, as you know, the Daytona Hellcats have started being arrived. I did post like I think 2 videos of those things, and they're starting to come in. So that's actually really good. So we've got Daytona Hellcat SRTs are coming in, and they're coming in now. They have 717 horsepower because they have like the nostril grill has been increased right here. So they let in a little bit more air like the 2019s. So that means that now you can get 717 horsepower rather than 707. But there's no point talking about Camaros and CTSVs because, as you know, they only have 650 horsepower and they're slow. And people who own Camaros and Corvettes and they have to deal with overheating issues, wherein we don't. And this is actually looking really, really good. And they've started delivering them. As soon as these things hit the lots, I'm going to be there. I'm going to make some videos. I'm going to show the price tags and this, that, and other. But for the most part, it's the same thing as a regular Hellcat. The only thing is they put these white stripes there and it says Daytona on it. And they have the wide body package with the bigger rims. They have electric steering. They've got a couple of little badge differences, and some of them are numbered. And I think the Daytonas are going to sell for almost $100,000, but most of those are not going to sell. So they're going to sit on the lots, and then they're going to end up sitting there for like a year, and then they're going to drop like $10,000 off them. So that's nice. You were going to go for a Trackhawk, but the price still hasn't dropped. The reason why the Trackhawk price hasn't dropped is because the 18s price dropped, but the 19s didn't. The 19s are hitting the lots at full price. So if you want a Trackhawk, the only thing you can really do is either have it built for you, or what you can do is just, my recommendation is you lease it, because the thing about it is if you try to buy one of those things, you're going to lose $30,000 in depreciation. And it's going to be a haircut that you're not going to like if you try to trade that thing out for something else. So my recommendation is a 2-year lease. It's going to cost you $1,500, and the insurance is probably going to push you to $2,000 a month, and that's before you factor in gas and everything. $2,000 a month, I went and I bought another house. It's like I wasn't going to pay them $2,000 a month for a Jeep that looks exactly like my Jeep. That didn't make any goddamn sense. BMW X5Ms are boring, and they have very high maintenance. Not only that, a Trackhawk will beat an X5M. It'll also beat a Mercedes AMG, the top-end AMG truck that they've got. The Trackhawk is more powerful than those cars are. So it doesn't matter how quickly they run the quarter mile. If you run a mile, you're beating everything. In fact, you'll probably beat them in the quarter mile too. From what I've seen, the Urus has a higher top speed allowance because Chrysler fucked up and didn't allow the Trackhawk to have a 200 horsepower, a 200 mile per hour limit. But that's because I don't work for Chrysler. If I worked at Chrysler, I would have fired anybody who tried to give me anything less than what I'm telling you it should have had. It should have had a 200 mile per hour limit. It should have had a Hellcat hood. It should have had better wheels. It should have had a better tail spoiler, and so forth and so on. It should have also had better badges. I'm very disappointed with them. I'm thinking, I don't know what I want from my next car, but they want $82,000 for a wide body Hellcat, and the thing about it is, I don't know if that's what I want, but I will say this. If I do buy it, I'm going to lease it. There's no way in hell I would buy another one of those things because you take so much depreciation. It's like, unless you do a private sale and you have a nice limited edition color, it's like you'll never recoup that money. So my recommendation is a lease. The leases are usually $600 to $899, but on this, because it's $82,000, you're looking at about $900 a month for a lease. And that's what it is. And you're going to have to put down at least $7,000 in order to hit that $800 per month or $900 per month. And it also depends on your credit. Now, I have an 800 credit score, so I'm not really worried. So that's just what it is. But these things are coming, and like the next couple of videos that I do will probably end up being the wide body Charger. And obviously, I'm going to do an interior look. I'm going to do the sticker review and, you know, maybe start the things up. It's got the same rev sound as the current Charger, so it's not that much different. But basically, I think that's about it. I think I've ran the energy out of myself talking about these liars over there at Fox News. So I think that's about it. I think that's about it. So I'm tired now. So yeah, that's 30 minutes. I just hit the 30-minute mark, and that's about it. So as for 2021 Charger all-wheel drive models, they have the GT version. They have a GT Dodge Challenger as well. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at you have all-wheel drives that look like the SRT models. They have Pentastar V6s, and then you're gonna have the Daytona models, which have Hellcat engines. So that's good. And now the Charger, they're supposed to be retiring this platform soon, but it's taking them so long. I don't know when they're gonna release new products. They really need to release new products soon. But that's about that. So I haven't heard anything about the Elephant engine. I've heard they were having issues with the Elephant. My guess is that the Elephant keeps destroying transmissions, so they're trying to figure out how to strengthen it and make it so that it can withstand the transmission because the problem is the transmission. The engines, they can put as much power in these engines as they want. The problem is to make an automatic transmission that's as good as the ZF 8-speed that we have right now, the Torque Flight. So I'm pretty sure ZF will figure it out, but it's going to be a little bit difficult, and I'm pretty sure they're going to work it out. But that'll be a great send-off for the Hemi engine because the Hemi engine, through all its permutations, is probably the best engine that you could possibly get right now in a big car like this, because otherwise you're going to have a shitty twin turbo 6 or shitty twin turbo 4. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So yeah, Charger hybrid would be nice. It's possible that they'll use the exact same powertrain they have from the Chrysler Pacifica. That would be really, really nice. But right now, I just don't know. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, so there's 62 of you left. That was down from 80. So I guess as I got tired, I guess they got tired too, because right now I'm tired. I think I ran out all my energy yelling at these motherfuckers who claiming that I was boring them. But yeah, Bone Spurs 2020, exactly. But that's basically what I needed to say. So again, if we're about to enter World War III, I'm gonna be sitting at home on my couch watching that shit on my 80-inch television, and it'll be you who goes to serve, you, your cousins, your sisters, and everybody else under 25. And I'll just be sitting at home chilling and hanging out with your girlfriend while you're gone because you won't be ever coming back to keep her company. So shame on you. But other than that, I recommend that you do what I'm telling you. Get yourselves together. Come out in November to vote against this sociopath, madman bastard. I recommend that you get yourselves ready to vote and come out to vote against this sociopath madman. Because if you don't, it's your ass.